Well, hello everyone. Welcome for Prep for Eternity Homestead. This is Donnie and Jennifer. And what you're seeing here is a project that we're starting where we're going to clear out a ton of trees near the pond. These old scrub brushes. So we're going to take you along with us. Let's go for a ride today. We're going to go up and work on the back side of the property. We're still trying to get our pathway clear. So let's go check it out and see what we can get done today. This road leads to the top side of the property, on the opposite side of the pond. I think we got about 20 acres up here on the hill. You can see the briars that I talk about so often. They just all over the place here. Well, we're going to slowly get it taken care of. Do a little at a time. This used to be all timbered, and it had tons of pine trees, and probably 15 years ago, I guess maybe 20 years ago, the prior owners had it logged, and they just wanted income, I guess, from the trees, but they didn't do a very good job at any regeneration. They didn't clean up, so what Jennifer and I are having to do now, we're kind of having to cut all this underbrush out to give room for all the pine trees. You can see here, this is a sweet gum tree. They're horrible, and I call them, people may not call them an invasive species, but here in Alabama, you see that group right there, they are horrible. And they're really not good for much because they're more of a, they don't burn very well, they will burn, but they have a lot of fibrous. It's not very strong, and we just kind of cut them and go on. But this is what happens when you have 20 years of unkept land that just overgrows. It's tough. I want to just take a minute here and point out, and I think you probably see it. You see over in the foreground there, those are pine logs that was left, and typically, depending on what kind of wood they're logging at the time, they'll leave these piles. And we had a big pile pushed on in the woods down on the bottom side, and we're still working through these piles, and it just takes time. You can't burn them. They're too wet. They're not quite disintegrated into the ground yet, so you just kind of have to move them around and work around them. But our plans, eventually, we're going to make pasture land out of all this. We're going to keep all the pine trees, and we'll probably even plant more pine trees, because really that's an investment, and it's just a lot of work that takes place. I mean, it's you're talking about without having a mulch machine, with just simply having a bush hog. And for those of you who don't know, some people may call a bush hog a rotary cutter, but just having a bush hog, you just have to kind of cut as you go. Now, we paid a guy to come in here last year with a mulcher machine, and he cut us this wide path. This through here all through here used to look like this. So we paid a guy to come in and just cut us a path so that we could get on this back side. Now the way this land lays on this top side, there's a pretty high hill up there in the background. So the water runs down the mountain and it eventually leads into the pond here. So we're cleaning all this up, trying to give us better access to this side of the property, because in the wet season, it's pretty difficult. Now, this part here that we're coming up on, you'll see this tree here. Jennifer and I worked on clearing this all out yesterday with our bush hog. So what I'm gonna do this morning, I've got a big stump I need to move. You'll see this little V stump right of the pass and cutting with our bush hog. A bush hog's a rotary cutter. I keep the bucket about a foot off the ground to knock over or hit any stumps or anything that's too big for the bush hog. So I'll go through here a couple of times forward and reverse. And what it does, it really just grinds everything down to the ground. A bush hog is basically a blade that knocks things over, similar to a land grinding machine or a cultivator, something like that. And what it'll produce is a path that's clear enough to at least be able to walk down and possibly drive down if I put enough work into it. Back and forwards. Here, we're coming up on it. I'm gonna be moving that stump, hopefully. Gonna be able to pick it up. And we're slowly cutting trails in. I'm gonna tell you, this pond has still got a ton of water in it, but you can see, you'll see it better in a minute, you can see the drought we're in right now. I want you to look how low it is. And we've never seen it this low. Alright, so you see this tree here. I don't know what kind of trees these are, but I pushed it over yesterday and cut the top out. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to pick it up and move it to a pile that's over here. And what Jennifer and I are doing, we've been slowly cutting our way through here, and you can see this is kind of what we're up against. I need to find out what kind of trees these are. If anybody knows, put them in the comments. And you can see that the pond is probably, it's substantially down for sure. All right, let's see if I can get this geared up here. All right, so what I did, I've got my chain hoist there, the small one. I hate using that thing because it pinches you if you're not careful. So I tried to pick this up with some mule tape yesterday. So I'm gonna try it with my ratchet straps. This sucker's pretty heavy. You can see how big this root ball is. I may have to cut it off and do it in small parts. You can kind of tell. Let's see what we can do here. Let's see, it's pretty heavy. I can see one of the straps is not holding too good. Let me readjust. Alright, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to drag it all the way up the hill. And you have limitations when you're dealing with smaller tractors. Mine's a 26 horsepower Mahindra, and I wished it was a little bigger, but it's not. So, but it is four-wheel drive, so, and it does, generally speaking, what I need it to do. And so I'm going to take this all the way up on the hill. just gonna kind of move this guy out of the way here. You can see how it slid over. That's where you got to be special careful, because it'll actually take the front of the bucket and twist it over. So I'm gonna take a little tension off of it here, just like that. And but that's kind of that's what we do. Big part of homesteading, problem solving. You know, if I didn't have a tractor, I'd be in here pulling it with a truck. So I know a lot of people that start the homestead journey, and it's a wonderful thing, but you really got to count the cost. You know, our scriptures, our Lord talks about counting the cost. Now that's talking about spiritual things, but we should be counting the cost on everything we're doing to see if it's going to be worth it, because I'm seeing a lot of homestead channels, maybe not, seeing a lot of homestead channels who have no longer, the work's been too hard, or maybe physically. And I tell you, it takes a physical toll on you. Can you imagine trying to do this by hand? Now, I guess if you're, look like the Hulk and you're 20 years old, it wouldn't be a problem. But this is part of life here. You know, we work hard, do what we got to do for our place, to get our place how we want it. And that's the reality of it. But it can be done. I mean, Jennifer and I, our journey on YouTube started just by trying to watch it and learn things about gardening and homesteading and all that kind of stuff, because we didn't know all that stuff. I mean, we was raised in the country, but even being raised in the country, you're not around all this kind of stuff much. This is what happens when nature re-overtakes stuff, and you have to cut your way and cut your road through. We're cutting us a path from our dam through the woods here. And boy, I'm telling you what, I ain't 20 no more. Whew. Okay, so what you're going to see here is we're walking from the house side of the pond, crossing our dam, and eventually we're going to clear all these trees out of the dam, and then you're going to be seeing camera shots of the left and the right of the dam. So this is walking on the dam with our pond being to the right of us. And this is the same way that we want to eventually be able to access the far side of our land. So we're slowly cutting through it. Now, if the water ever does get extremely high, it would overflow to this side here. It's a pretty big ravine. It's about 60 foot up through there. And when the man built the dam, or the pond, that's kind of how he designed it. The pond's about, for your reference, about 2 acres. Okay, so what you're seeing, we're going to be coming up to our path that we are cutting through, and we've already cut through it, the woods, with chainsaws and lopping shears and the bush hog. You can see how thick it is. We're coming up on a big pine log, a tree that had fell no telling how long ago, that we had to cut out.
and we're just able to get through there with the tractor. And so we're coming down. We cut this whole entire path through here. That is the other side of the pond that you're seeing there. That's where we just walked from that way. And there's part of that log. So Jennifer and I, we cut all this, and to the left of the screen, you're going to see an upward path. Earlier, you saw me on the bush hog. That was where I was cutting. And then this is prior to us cutting on this side. You'll notice all these trees, they're now gone. And you saw a video of that, or you will see a video of that here shortly. All those trees are gone now. And these are trees apparently that grow near the water, and they were probably 75 or 100 that we had to literally pull out with our tractor and cut down with a chainsaw.
All right, well, we're to the end of our little small project. We still got a little bit of bush hogging to do, but you can kind of tell how much we've done. Look at that sweet, pretty thing there. Yeah. All right, folks, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We're pretty tired. It's cold out here. We've been working at it all day long, but we was able to get as many of the trees up as we could, and it looks much better now. You can walk through here. You see the before and after picture. Makes a lot of difference. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.